The attendance tonight was 20,845, 27th consecutive sellout. The gate was 11.56 million, the second highest grossing event in MSG history. We hold number 1 and number 2 now, and it's the 5th highest grossing event for the UFC. Fight of the night, no brainer. Poirier and Chandler. We all knew that a long time ago. That was going to be the fight of the night. And Pereira and Weili Zhang won the performance bonuses. So they all won $50,000. Congratulations to them.
I guess before we get into specifics, I mean, just the event overall, I think people are saying card of the year, maybe event of all time. I mean, one of the greatest nights in UFC history from start to finish. It was an amazing night. I mean, we knew when we built this card that this was a good one, The only thing you can hope is it stays together, and it did, and we're here, and it happened, and it was awesome. So, yeah, I'm happy. Incredible main event. I mean, tactical fight throughout. Israel Adesanya looked great, and then
I don't know if you guys have headphones over on your side, but the corner in Pereira's corner that round, it was like straight out of a movie. I want to hear what the corner work's going to be, so I put the headphones on, and one of his trainers, I don't know who it was like, "You're losing this fucking fight. You need to knock him out in this round. You have to move forward. You have to throw punches and bunches. You have to throw combinations. Let your fucking hands go. You're going to be a world champion in 5 minutes." And then he gets up and goes out there, and it was seriously straight out of a movie.
That's incredible. No, I haven't seen that yet, so we'll look forward to that. The stoppage, I mean, there's some people, let the guy fall. I mean, he looked like he was taking some pretty heavy shots. Were you okay with the stoppage in the main event?
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the stoppage. You just said it now. I don't know. I mean, he was hurt. He obviously wasn't out, but he seemed pretty hurt to me.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to talk to Israel at all since the result?
No, I haven't yet.
I mean, obviously we're not going to make a fight right now, but technically Alex is 3-0 against the guy, right? I mean, do you put that history into it when you start thinking I can't go a fourth fight?
Well, it's not even that. It's you got to show Israel. First of all, I was saying this week, and it's the absolute truth. Israel Adesanya didn't even flinch about taking this fight. He likes to fight all the time. He took this fight. He wanted this fight. A lot of people talk publicly. And it's a whole different story behind the scenes. That guy's an absolute stud. Always wants to stay active, and a fight that most guys would stall. Give me more time. Give me this, that. He dove right into this fight. His only loss was when he tried to move up in weight to 205. So you got to respect him as a champ and what he's done.
So you wouldn't rule out running it back?
I wouldn't rule it out.
Absolutely. Zhang Weili, phenomenal performance from her as well.
Savage. Absolute savage. The choke. I mean, pulling off the choke the way that she did, and the power, and she's fun to watch, man. She is a fun fighter.
Nice. I think a lot of people coming in were saying if she does win, fight with Rose makes all the sense in the world. Does that sound enticing to you, or are there are other ladies that have made claims as well, but does that sound like the one to make?
Yeah, I don't know yet. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out.
Last couple ones, Frankie Edgar, of course. The
best. I love him. I love his family, and. A rough way to go out, but what he's accomplished here and what he's done, nothing but respect and love for Frankie.
Nice. And last thing for me, I just want to ask did you get the information on what happened with the Kovacevic decision there with all the changing of the scores in the cage? And
oh, no, yeah, I forgot about that actually, too. Have you ever seen anything like
Never.
that?
Not once.
I don't know what happened, man. I was like 20-something years I've never seen this. It was crazy.
Dana, to your right.
Yeah.
Down over here.
Hey, Kev.
Just kind of curious, you referenced it a little bit when you said Izzy will fight anybody. Do you think in a way, he fights a guy after just 3 fights in the UFC? I mean, he didn't have to fight him at this point, and so his competitiveness maybe got the best of him. Do you look at it that way just by taking the fight?
No, I think that's what makes this sport so great, And again, I don't mean to shit on boxing, but look at what's going on with the Crawford fight. The fight isn't being made that should be made, and Israel was absolutely confident going into this fight too. Never once did he look like he was scared of this guy or worried about it, and he was picking him apart. I think that going into that 4th round, I think if he was a little bit more aggressive in that 4th round, who knows what would happen, But when you start getting into the 4th, you're winning the fight, And then you get to the fifth. Basically, all you got to do is stay away from him in the fifth round. You win the fight. Sometimes that strategy doesn't work out.
He's in a tough spot if you decide against giving him the rematch. He's already cleaned out the division. He even said his motivation was low. So, for a guy like that, how do you keep him motivated in wanting to come if he doesn't have a title shot, given everything he's accomplished and how many people he's put away in the UFC?
What's the question?
I'm saying, how do you keep him motivated if you don't give him the rematch right away? He's cleaned out the division already, right? Yeah. So how do you get him motivated by fighting guys he's already beaten before?
Probably money.
Yeah, that would probably work, right?
Yeah, it usually does.
Dana.
Yeah.
With Pereira winning, would you say that opens up the division? Guys like Robert Whittaker, who was 0-2 against Adesanya, is now in the mix. Maybe Muniz, maybe in Chimaev.
It always does. Yeah, it definitely does.
Would you say it's a good thing?
Yeah. Listen, it is what it is. If Izzy won, it's a great thing. If Pereira wins, it's a great thing. It's part of the business, man. There's always great fights to make, especially in that division. There's just so many savages in that top 7, I think.
And today was the 29th year anniversary from the very first UFC way back in Colorado. I know it's gone a long way. Look how it is. Just tell us what it means to you personally to be where you are now 29 years later.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, surreal, and I've been thinking about it a lot the last couple days, actually. Yeah, it's awesome. And to be on the roll that we're on this year too. I mean, it's just like every Saturday gets bigger and bigger, So it's still a fun ride.
My last question, I was thinking about how hard it was to get into New York. It was like the toughest state. You're in New York, and then I was being the nerd. I started looking at which states you haven't been to, and you've been to like 40-something states. You ever just say, "Hey, let's do all 50. Let's check all the boxes."
Let's do what?
Do all 50 states.
Do all 50 states. No, I never thought of that, but I'm like so focused on Africa right now. I want to do Africa so bad. That's sort of my focus. Plus, it's been so long since we've been to some of these other, like Canada. Get back to Australia and some of these other countries. We're going to South Korea this year. Going back to Brazil. So we got to knock a bunch of those out first, the places we haven't been in a minute. But and like you said, what's crazy is, think about this, all the time that we were kept out of New York, and now we're number 1 and number 2 all time at Madison Square Garden. You think of the events that have been held here, and we're 1 and 2. It's pretty badass.
Couple questions for you, Dana. First, the UFC Africa that you just talked about, where in that continent do you see this happening, given that the lack of large indoor arenas?
No, it's
anywhere?
a great question. It's a great question. But Nigeria is what we're thinking.
Building something, or perhaps an outdoor venue?
Yeah.
Like at a soccer stadium?
Yeah. Both. I don't know which one yet. But, yeah. Listen, at the end of the day, we're pretty crafty. We'll figure it out.
Okay. And the other question I have for you is, talk to us about the featherweight interim title fight. What was the decision to make an interim belt, and also how did it land on Emmett and Rodriguez as opposed to, say, Holloway or Allen?
Yeah, I don't remember all the exact details on why that one was made, but that's the fight.
Dana, back here. I wanted to ask a little bit. Were you happy with the stoppage in the main event?
Was I happy with it?
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't even question it until Morgan said it to me at the beginning of the press conference.
Conor McGregor declared yesterday the Mac is back. I know he says this all the time, but from your standpoint, what is the situation with Conor right now?
Well, he's been posting, he just got done filming a movie, and he's been posting videos of himself training, and he definitely wants to come back next year.
You mentioned boxing a little bit there. I wanted to get your take on this whole, you were talking about the Crawford fight. Another one that seemingly just kind of fell by the wayside was this heavyweight title fight between, Fury and Usyk. Fury's now fighting Derek Chisora. This is the kind of fight you would never be able to make in MMA with, it's such a disparity. What do you make of that situation?
I don't care. I don't care. That's not my world. I don't, I was just using them as an example of like, making the fights that should be made, and not avoiding certain fights. We just don't do that here.
You just said it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You just said it's not your world. So is Zuffa boxing officially done?
No. But it's not my world. That's it.
Dana back.
What they're doing has nothing to do with me. It doesn't change my life whatsoever.
Dana back here.
Yeah.
Let me take you back to UFC Africa. I'm from Nigeria. There are no facilities that would be able to house the UFC. Have you considered a Rwanda, for example? They have a Kigali arena. The NBA has played there with their Basketball Without Borders multiple times. Just a thought.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dana, over here.
Yep.
UFC 282. What do you think about Jiří Procházka, his fighting style, and overall performance in the UFC so far?
Who?
Jiří Procházka, UFC 282.
Yeah. What do I think about him?
Yeah, his fighting style and overall performance
I think
so
he's
far.
awesome. Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, what is your expectation of the rematch? It's going to be a big fight.
Yeah, I mean, the first fight was so damn good, and back and forth. As soon as you thought he was going to win, it flipped, and it looked like Glover was going. Then it flipped again. I mean, that fight could have gone any way with either guy, and it was exciting. It was fun, and hopefully the second one's as fun and as exciting as the first one.
Dana, to your right.
Thank you.
Over here. The Poirier-Chandler fight, you knew it was going to be great. To just see the reaction from the fans after the first round, there was a lot of buzz on Twitter, too. Just what was going through your mind after that first round?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. It was one of the best first rounds I've seen in a very long time, maybe if ever. So, yeah, there was no doubt going into tonight that was going to be the fight of the night. We should have probably just paid those guys yesterday.
Dana, right here. Dominic Reyes suffered another loss tonight. Just a couple years ago, he was, on the brink of being the first guy to legitimately beat Jon Jones. Now it's 4 losses in a row. Are you surprised by kind of this fall from grace from him?
Literally exactly what you said is what we were just talking about in the back, after the fights were over. Yeah, it's almost like he hasn't been the same since that Jon Jones fight.
What do you kind of do with him now? Because obviously, he changed camps. He's seemingly done all the things that a fighter would do to try to get back on track, and he has his quickest loss here tonight. Do you keep him around? Do you maybe let him go try to get some wins somewhere else?
I don't know right now. I think first and foremost, I would see what he wants to do. What does he want to do, and where's he at mentally, and what's he thinking?
Yeah, and he's always obviously connected to Jon Jones. Do you have any update on Jon? I know he was saying that, Stipe signed the contract for December. We're obviously close to that, so I imagine it's not happening then.
Yeah, no, Jon Jones will fight next year, for sure.
First quarter, probably?
Yeah. We never had a Stipe Jon Jones fight. He's going to fight next year.
Okay, and just last thing, Michael Chandler was just in here, and he was kind of talking about his next moves, and someone asked him about maybe, looking back at an Eddie Alvarez fight, because Eddie Alvarez is a free agent right now, and they had some great fights, in another promotion. Have you talked to Eddie and his team at all in this free agency about maybe bringing him back?
Eddie hit me up a couple days ago, yeah. But no, we haven't had any serious conversations.
Does it interest you having him back?
I think that Eddie is at a point in his career where, we're always trying to bring in young, up-and-coming guys that hopefully can be world champions some days. That's what we really look for.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dana, can you just describe Izzy's title reign and what he meant to the company?
Describe what?
Izzy's title reign and what he did for the company as a champion.
Yeah, no, I mean, you saw it and you felt it tonight. I mean, the dude's from New Zealand, and we're at Madison Square Garden in New York, and the place is going crazy for him. He's been a great champion for us. He likes to fight all the time. He like I said, he doesn't say no. He'll fight anybody, and those are fun guys to have. And he's a good person.
And that loss kind of reminded me of Kamaru, when he lost, he was winning around, and they went in the fight, and then he lost all of a sudden. Is that just part of the sport basically?
It's what makes the sport so great, honestly. It's you can never tell what's going to happen in this sport. You never know. I mean, I had him I had it 3-1 going into the last round, and then his corner, Pereira's corner, gives him a fucking movie-like speech in the corner, and he goes out and does it, and it's incredible. It's what makes this thing so crazy. You can never pick who's going to win a fight.
Dana, just going back to UFC Africa, I'm curious, how big do you think that event could be? Is that somewhere you're going to have to kind of educate the people and introduce mixed martial arts to them?
It's not even about how big I think it will be. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like when we go over the. I just want to do it.
Is this because you see stuff like Rumble in the Jungle and it's like
100%.
As a promoter?
100%. And we have African champions, and I'm going to build a PI over there. So, yeah, it's just something that I personally want to do.
Do you have a time frame on it? Could it be as early as the first half of next year, for example?
I don't know. It's like, this gentleman over here just educated me on.
Yeah.
I don't know enough yet. What we'll do is we'll send a team over there, and they'll go kick around the country for a little bit and see what we can do.
I feel like a rematch of tonight's main event would make a lot of sense over there.
Yeah, there's a lot of fights that can make sense over there, depending on how all this stuff plays out over the next, I don't see us going there fast enough to do this rematch.
Okay. Going on to Michael Chandler, right? He's had wins and losses in the UFC at this point, but in terms of excitement, his first 5 fights have been probably unparalleled in terms of newcomers. Just curious what your thoughts are on him as a fighter. And okay, he might not be winning them all, but is he like the most exciting guy you have on the roster?
Yeah, he's fun. He's like our Arturo Gatti. You know what I mean? He's a fun guy. He's always in fun fights. He comes to fight, man. He leaves it all in there, and that's why people love him. He's fun to watch.
Going back to the anniversary of the UFC, and you were saying how cool it is to come to places like New York and sell it out, even though you were kept from being here for so long. This is just something I noticed tonight. Is it cool to see crowds have evolved to the point where when Izzy gets a hook in, they cheer because they recognize the hooks going in and stuff like that?
It's fun. We had this conversation too. There was a guy here tonight from the History Channel, and we were talking about. He was asking me about jiu-jitsu. And I was saying that me and the Fertitas, when we first bought this thing, that's what we were the most afraid of, is that people didn't understand the ground game. And now 20 years later, we're at Madison Square Garden, a place that we weren't able to come to, and guy puts a hook in and the crowd gets excited. It's unbelievable how educated people have become about the ground game over the last 20 years.
When was the last time you rolled?
A long time ago. I'm too fucking old to roll, believe me. I like my neck. I like my knees. I'm good.
Dana, over here. Other side. This way.
Yeah.
I'm curious, did you hear Renato Moicano's post-fight interview when he was spazzing out on the mic?
That who was?
Moicano.
No, I didn't hear that.
No. Well, 90% of it got beeped out on national television.
What was he? Was he mad or?
He was very excited about winning and felt disrespected.
That's awesome. Good for him.
You also talked about you wanted to find these young fighters that could eventually be champions. Erin Blanchfield had a huge win over Molly McCann. What did you make of her performance?
Yeah, Molly had a rough night. That was a rough one. Yeah.
And then Ryan Spann, you touched on Dom Reyes. What did you think of his performance? Also saying that he's
That's a great question. Exactly. We're talking about him. We overlooked Spann. He looked incredible tonight. He looked awesome. A kid that came off the Contender Series, and he's killing it, man. He looked good tonight. He looked good. He looked confident. And, he's probably going to be in rank number 7 or 8 on Tuesday.
Could you believe when he said he's never trained for a fight? He's never had a training camp longer than 3 weeks?
Yeah, he's a freak. That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Dana over here.
Yeah, he's built to fight, too. I mean, you just look at that guy's physique. His legs are huge. He's tall. He's rangy. Strong.
Dana over here.
Yeah.
Congratulations on another successful outing in New York. Stack card, top to bottom, amazing, exciting.
Thank you, sir.
When does it get to a point where you see the calendar, you're like, New York is back. I got to stack it. I got to make it a mega card. Like, how is it pressure that you pretty much raising the bar every single time you come here?
No, but, that's what we try to do every week. We try to put on the best possible cards we can every week. I mean, that's what we do. We really try to, outdo ourselves, which sometimes it's like, how do we beat this? And then we always seem to do it. This dude's falling asleep right here. I gotcha.
Hey, Dana, one more question.
I'm boring the shit out of this guy. We got last question so we can bring somebody fucking exciting in
questions here, please.
Dana, one more question.
Yeah.
Obviously, this has been Fight Holy Land, New York, since Joe Louis fighting Max Schmeling back in the 30s. I mean, because you're a boxing guy, does that put pressure on you saying, oh man, New York is essentially smart, some of the smartest fight fans in the world, I got to really, really stack it top to bottom. Is it because you're a boxing fan and you know the history of boxing that you have...
Well, it's one of the things that I think boxing did wrong. I mean, it got to a point where boxing became this going out of business sale. Every time they put on a fight, they're just trying to grab as much money as they can possibly grab and run. And, we built a brand, built a sport, and, when you show up here, these tickets are expensive. Plane tickets are expensive. Hotel rooms are expensive. It's not cheap to come to these type of things. You should get your money's worth. The other thing is pay-per-view. Pay-per-view isn't cheap anymore either. So every time I would turn off the TV when I watched boxing, I'd be like, God damn it, they got me again, right? They got me again. I don't ever want people to turn the TV off and feel that way about our product. So we stack it from top to bottom, and I say this all the time, but what I sell is holy shit moments. So I want you to have 3 or 4 holy shit moments during the night, whether you're here live or at home, and that's what we always set out to do.
Two questions here.
Thank you.
Sir.
Yeah?
2 questions, very quick.
Yeah?
First, what's your comments on Zhang Weili reclaiming her title tonight? And, actually, many Chinese youngsters becoming fans of UFC because of Zhang Weili. Do you have any plans to increase your presence in China?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%, sir. What you have to ignite a market is a badass fighter from that region, and she is awesome, man. I love everything about her. I love the way she fights. I love the way she trains. She's an absolute killer. Absolute killer, and I love the fact that she loves to win so much. She wants to be a world champion. She loves being a world champion. She loves I can't say enough. I can't say enough good things about her. And yes, she is helping to blow this thing up in China.
So
Dana, hold on. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Just one quick one. Leon Edwards has been doing a lot of media this week. Is there any update on that stadium event in London?
We were just talking about that tonight too. You guys got my room bugged. All the shit you're asking me is stuff we were all talking about tonight. So, a lot of people from England have been asking me, Cardiff. So, we're taking a serious look at that. The only thing is Cardiff's outdoors, right?
I think it has a roof.
They got a closed roof?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go then. Me and Mark were talking about that tonight. I didn't know it was closed roof because England's a scary place to have anything outside.
Damn, you're right.
Yeah.
But Cardiff looks like a possibility.
I love Cardiff. I love the idea of Cardiff.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see if I can get it done.
Thank you.
I'm trying.
Dana, really quick right here.
Yeah.
We just got Alex, the champion of the UFC. We got Glover coming up in December. And January, we launch Fight Pass in Brazil. How big is that for the launch? And we got a big event going on there too. How important is that?
Yeah, no, it's very important. That's why it's aligned with the launch down there. Yeah, we're excited about it, and I'll be going to Brazil. I haven't been to Brazil in a couple of years, so I'll be there for that fight. I'm looking forward to getting back there, and we always have a blast down in Brazil.
Dana, you're right.
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask you about kind of the unique journey that Alex Pereira has had to get to this point. Just a handful of fights in mixed martial arts, obviously accomplished in kickboxing, but you just don't see a whole lot of, handful of fights come to the UFC. Within a year, he's the champion. I mean, do you have any thoughts?
It's true, and if you look at him and Israel, you know what I mean? If you look at what they've done coming from kickboxing and how good they are, it's pretty fascinating. And what's even more unique is 2 guys who fought each other twice already end up making it to the top of the sport. So it's a very unique situation.
What does that say kind of about, the evolution of the sport? Because obviously 29 years ago, we had, style versus style, and then it very slowly kind of became this, mixed martial arts as we know it. We had a lot more mixed martial arts styles, and now, granted, we saw different versions or different, iterations of Pereira's game here, but he's very much a kickboxer here, and now he's the champion.
Right. What's the question?
I guess, like, what do you think? Kind of just the fact that it's not that sport's going backwards necessarily, but just the fact that there is someone who's a specialist coming in here. And
yeah, well, I think what it really shows is what incredible athletes they both are. I mean, to be that dominant in kickboxing and that good, and then come over here, learn everything else, and then you two end up facing each other again over here. Pretty crazy.
Were you impressed with kind of the other elements that we saw from Pereira's game here? Obviously, he mixed in the takedown. He had it's a little bit of a grappling and scrambles in there. I mean, what did you think of that too?
Yeah, I think they both fought a great fight. My only criticism of Israel in the fight is I think he should have pressed the action a lot more in that fourth round. But ain't me in there. You know what I mean? It's easy to fucking sit up here. I don't even roll anymore and talk about how he should have pressed harder in the fourth round. Yeah, so I think he fought literally almost the perfect fight.
Would you have interest in bringing in kind of more, not specialists necessarily, but people who are standouts and giving them maybe a fast track? Or is it because of obviously the link between Adesanya and Pereira?
Do you think what?
Like kind of bringing in maybe, high, elite level athletes from other sports and giving them kind of the fast track, not kind of babying them, but getting them right into the title picture very quickly, without kind of.
That ain't how it works here. You gotta fight your way up. I mean, Pereira only had so many fights here, but he fought all the right guys to get to the top.
Sure.
And then he beat the champ. So, yeah.
Dana, right here. So Stipe Miocic versus Jon Jones hasn't come to fruition for 272 or 282. What's going on right now with Stipe? I heard last week media was saying that Stipe might never fight again. What's going on with Stipe Miocic right now?
I don't know, and that's true. He might.
That's a true from negotiations you have with him. It might not. He doesn't want to fight no more.
No, No, I didn't say that. You said that.
You kind of said that.
I see where this is fucking going. No, I did not say that. Yeah, maybe he won't, but maybe he will. I don't know.
So there's a chance Stipe Miocic never fights again and is a fireman.
I have no idea.
So if we
what the fuck are you asking me right now? You're like double talking.
We're going
trying to make
division.
it sound like I said that. I didn't say that. I said, but yes, that could happen. That could possibly be.
No.
But that could be anybody. Any of these guys could never fight again.
You know who said it? Your least favorite media member.
Oh, then it's got to be true.
That's who said it. So
okay.
What's going on with the heavyweight division right now? We got Ngannou's coming off a knee injury. We got Jones maybe in the wings. Stipe in the wings. What's going on? Who's the next heavyweight championship title fight?
Yeah, I think that Jon Jones will be the next fight at heavyweight.
He's not a champion.
I know.
So who's he fighting?
Well, hopefully Francis.
Okay. So Stipe's out right now.
Do you have any other questions?
I do. What's going on with
Colby? I can't wait to hear this one.
Colby versus Kamzat. Do you have anything going further on that?
We're working on that too. Yes, that fight is being worked on.
Do we have a potential date for that fight?
No.
Okay. And then, so great card tonight.
Thank you.
Killed it in MSG. What comes next after MSG? Like, what's your next big card? Is
Vegas.
Vegas?
Yep.
Vegas all day.
Vegas.
What's the next one?
December.
Okay, so are we? I feel like we're missing a co-main event for that fight.
Okay. I'm sorry you feel that way.
No, Jerry versus Glover.
I hear you.
So what can you give us on the heavyweight division right now?
Who is this guy?
Give me something good, Dana.
Who are you? Who do you write for?
Stan the Man, Menace and the Man. Dennis Bermudez, your old boy.
Oh, okay. Got it. You have any more questions for me?
Well, right now, the heavyweight division's wide open.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll get it figured out.
Are we just waiting for Ngannou?
I don't know. I don't know how that's going to play out. Listen, we've been very patient in this whole thing and trying to get something done with them, and we'll see how this thing ends up.
I hate to be this guy. The news that broke today was Ngannou said the negotiations are not going well.
Okay. Well, that sucks.
Dana, there was a time where you had events, two events in New York City, Barclays and here. You did UBS not far outside of New York a couple of months ago. Do you see that happening and being back here twice a year?
You're asking me if
UBS Arena in Long Island.
Yeah, when are we going back there?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we were just there. It wasn't that long ago that we were just there, and I know that MSG wants us to come here twice a year. You know, like guarantee them twice a year. So
how realistic is that? Is that something you want to do?
Yeah. I love coming to New York. So the problem is, like I was saying, as the world starts to open up again, you know, there's so many other places that we have to go. We got to travel to and do these other markets. But yeah, I love coming to New York.
Would you imagine a May, November dates here?
I don't
know. You could do it.
I don't know. We'll see.
Dana, just very last thing.
Thanks for saving me too, by the way.
You're probably not aware of this because it's just happened while you've been up there, but Nate Diaz appears to have gotten a scuffle with this guy Dylan Dennis.
That's a shocker. Did he really?
Yeah, he slapped him. I don't know if he's doing it
here.
Yeah, just outside the arena. Just a few minutes ago. It was caught on video and stuff. Do you know why Nate was here tonight? Did you talk to him? And I guess what's your reaction to him coming to one of your events now and I guess causing another bit of a ruckus?
Yeah, well, the thing is that this thing's been sold out for a while. I know Nate called last night and wanted 6 tickets. We didn't have 6 tickets to give him. So he ended up figuring it out and got some seats. And, yeah, I went over and talked to him tonight, and, you know, it's all good. And every time they show up, I expect something to happen.
Yeah, so it doesn't bother you at this point?
No. Not much bothers me anymore at this point.
Facts.
Dana, heavyweight division bothers you.
Yeah.
Dana right here.
Yeah.
Alex,
Does he still have a microphone? What the hell's that guy doing with a microphone? Go ahead.
Alex Pereira looked like he was out on his feet at the end of the first round. Do you think if there was 10, 15, 20 more seconds in the round, he would have gotten finished?
I'm sorry. Ask me that question again.
Alex Pereira in the first round.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been interesting if there was some more time. But to his credit, he recovered from that during the round and during the break and came back and won the fight.
And how do you see Pereira matching up against some of the grapple heavy guys at the top of the division?
It's a good question. That's a good question. That remains to be seen. We'll see what happens when he gets a guy that can really wrestle.
Michael Chandler, 5 fights into his UFC career. How do you assess it so far?
He's fun. He's a great kid. I like him a lot. And like I said earlier, he's like our Arturo Gatti, man. Kid comes and brings it every time and leaves everything in there. And he's so fun to watch.
Last one. I think you guys tied a record for most first-round finishes, 7 first-round finishes in this card. With all the finishes, does it make it tough to pick out just 2 for a bonus?
It wasn't tonight. No, it wasn't tonight. I mean, Weili's choke was pretty badass. And then, Poirier. No, not Poirier. It was Pereira. How do you not take him after, in my opinion, he was down 3-1 going into that last round. He wins the fight. He does exactly what he needs to do and wins the fight.
Thank you.
Dana, 283 real quick, just upcoming 283 in Rio. Can you confirm or deny that we are looking at Davison and Moreno as the main event? Is that the main event of the night?
Ask me the question again.
For 283, is Davison, Figueiredo, and Moreno, is that the main event of the evening?
We're still working on the card. Yeah, somebody asked me that yesterday. Yeah.
Gotcha.
A lot of these cards are still in the works.
Okay, gotcha.
Cool. Thanks, New York. Have a great night, you guys. Appreciate it.